Welcome to this episode of Consider It Blacklit. I am Kim, your host, and for those of you tuning in for the first time, Consider It Blacklit highlights films, television programs, and stage plays that feature African Americans both up front and behind the scenes. We also discuss social issues as it relates to some of these programs and how they may or may not impact our communities. So thank you for tuning in, and we hope you continue to tune in each week. Today, it is my pleasure to highlight an upcoming play that is showing at the Billie Holiday Theater in Brooklyn, New York. A Small Oak Tree Runs Red. I am excited to have the author of the play, LeKethia Dalcoe, here with me in the studio today. Welcome, LeKethia.
Thank you for having me, Kim.
I've heard so much about this play, but before we start talking about it, why don't you tell the audience a little bit about yourself, your background, and how you became a playwright?
Oh, sure. Awesome. So, hi, once again, my name is LeKethia Dalcoe. I am from Houston, Texas. I'm also an actress as well, and that's how I come to be in New York. Well, I've always been one who writes. Of course, like most people from the South, a lot of my training and writing stems from the church and getting up in the pew and reciting poetry that I've written and whatnot. But I got deeper into the art of storytelling in my undergraduate program at Prairie View A&M University. Mm-hmm. And from there, I think I've always had a voice, and so I just started crafting stories. And the funny thing is that A Small Oak Tree Runs Red is my first full-length play that I've ever written.
Oh, wow.
And so to have it produced so quickly after writing it and having it produced again, mm-hmm. I feel very, very blessed as a new up-and-coming playwright to have my work seen and heard so quickly on my journey as a writer.
Oh, that's exciting.
Yes.
So give us a synopsis of the play. Tell the audience what it's about.
Awesome. Well, A Small Oak Tree Runs Red is based off of a true story that took place, a true event that took place in Valdosta, Georgia in 1918. It surrounds the life of a young lady named Mary Turner, who was 8 months pregnant. At the time, she was lynched out for speaking against the lynching of her husband. Mm-hmm. And so I was attracted to the story. I first approached this play during my thesis, and at the time I was a new mother myself. Mm-hmm. So I think empathy and the idea of putting myself in the place of Mary is what first made me like this is something that needs to be told. Mm-hmm. Because I knew what it meant to be to have those swollen feet and to be nesting. Mm-hmm. And so the first thing I think what really caught me was how could anyone do that to a black woman, a mother, mm-hmm. a human mm-hmm. in that state, mm-hmm. that sensitive state. So, and also it was also a story that was widely recorded and mm-hmm. Written about in the newspaper articles. It's also one of the first things that started the crusade against lynching, the Mary Turner story, mm-hmm. When Walter White, who was a black man who could pass for white, he started to go undercover for the NAACP and really try to get information about these lynchings and find out who were involved. And Mary Turner's story mm-hmm. and him going down there was actually one of the impetus in starting the crusade against lynching and creating those lynch laws.
Because I was reading somewhere this whole event, it wasn't just her.
No, it wasn't.
But it was a mob that killed many African Americans.
Many people.
Yeah.
Yes,
and I saw somewhere where it was referred to like the Holocaust lynchings.
Yes.
Yeah. So. Yeah,
definitely.
That's really deep.
She was involved, her husband and many other citizens. A young man named Sidney Johnson, who was mm-hmm. thought to believe to have actually went out and shot the landowner, a mm-hmm. white landowner at that time, who was known for being very abusive mm-hmm. to his workers. And that action is what they used to fuel the flame to actually kill
all those
many
people.
Many people.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
So as you enter A Small Tree Runs Red, you enter a place between reality and make-believe. You have these three characters, Mary Turner, her husband Hayes Turner, and the accused murderer Sidney Johnson. And they are each trying to make each other or Mary remember what has has happened. How does she get here in this purgatory in order to move on? The place in itself does things in order to stop the memories from going forward. So it's kind of like an homage saying that we must remember in order to move forward as a nation, in order to move forward as ourselves. And the play is also commemorating the 100-year anniversary of the actual lynching of Mary Turner that took place May 19, 1918. So in the year 2018, we're presenting her story 100 years later.
Wow. And it's a story that needs to be told,
Definitely.
too, because a lot of young people don't know this history.
Yes,
Yeah,
definitely.
Yeah.
I believe our ancestors, I believe, if you think of the spirit realm, I believe because of how horrific a lot of the crimes were done against people of color, that these spirits, these things, they're not resting. And their stories, their lives matter. Mm-hmm. Just as Black Lives Matter today, mm-hmm. and yesterday and forever, their mm-hmm. stories matter, and I'm just glad that I'm able to tell their story, mm-hmm. basically.
Mm-hmm. And I think that's why it's so important that today that people speak out when they see these injustices, because back then it was almost normal.
Yes.
You know, they gave people a pass mm-hmm. for taking lives of pregnant women. You know,
and I think the most important thing I want to show is like just how human we was, because at the end of the day, this was a woman who spoke out against the lynching of her husband and said that I would swear a warrants against every single murderer in 1918. Mm-hmm. She had to know the consequences for doing such, but at the end of the day, her love was so strong for this man, so human, that she had to speak out. Mm-hmm. So A Small Oak Tree Runs Red, as much as it is a story of these three individuals who lost their lives, it is a love story at the helm. It is a love story, and that's what I want the audience to come and see and to experience. With the horrible story and the outcome, at the end of the day, these two individuals truly had to love each other, if you think about it.
They had to love each other because she saw what happened to her husband, yes. mm-hmm. and she knew the consequences of what would happen if she spoke out.
Yes.
You know, she was going to put her life on the line for her man.
There you go.
All right. I love a good love story.
Yes.
I definitely did. Okay. Wow. So you had mentioned that you actually visited the site.
I did.
Wow. Tell us what that was like.
Yeah, it was soul-stirring, to say the least. Mm-hmm. My sister, actually, her husband is in the service, and right now she's based in Valdosta, Georgia. Mm-hmm. So last summer, and this was after the Chicago production, actually had a chance to go to the site, and I just allowed myself to be in the space, mm-hmm. to listen to the wind blowing, the leaves crunching on the grass, mm-hmm. the moss hanging from the trees, mm-hmm. the little river, and I just put myself, as I was Mary, like, is this the thing she saw, mm-hmm. or what she felt? And I just listened, and
mm-hmm.
there was this little bird that mm-hmm. kept flying around and landing on a tree, and I was like, mm-hmm. was that the spot? Was that the tree? Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And the most, I think, horrific thing about it is that there was a marker that has been created in the memory of Mary Turner and those who were lynched, and it had fresh bullet holes. Mm. It had 3 fresh bullet holes. Yes, fresh bullet holes, because it was a new placard.
So it's the hate is still there.
The hate is still there. Things are still brewing. Mm-hmm. The healing hasn't completely happened.
Oh, wow. That's crazy. I was also reading, too, that that whole era when they had the lynchings was the inspiration for the song Strange Fruit.
Oh, yes,
you know, so I went back and kind of listened to the words. I was like, okay, mm-hmm. yeah, it has a whole new meaning.
I'm sure.
So tell me how you think that things that happened back there during the days when they were lynching people, well, they still kind of lynch them today, but back then, mm-hmm. how that relates to society today.
Well, I can speak for myself as a young woman of today. Everything that I wrote stemmed from what I was feeling today. Mm-hmm. The play had a whole different inception when I first began it a couple of years ago for my graduate thesis. And then about 2.5 years ago, I just heard a new voice. And I basically rewrote the whole play, and it basically was written, I think, in about a week and a half. I definitely believe it was something ancestral that mm-hmm. brewed up, and the pen just flowed. But it was stemmed from the things that happened with Trayvon Martin recently. Mm. So I just put myself in a place as a mother, and so all the words that that's in my play that these three characters say is from a woman, and what I wanted to say today in that historical context. So it just shows you how we as a nation haven't come as far, and we have a lot to go, because I was easily able to put myself in Mary's shoes, or Hayes, her husband's shoes, or Sidney Turner, Sidney Johnson, and feel what he felt. So everything that I wrote in the play that's today was from what I was seeing
around us.
Around today,
even though
what I was
they weren't
experiencing.
using trees and a rope,
yes,
they're using guns to shoot down our young men.
Yes.
Yeah.
And just recently, I mean, there were 2 nooses found in Brooklyn.
Yeah.
I'm talking about a couple of months ago. So I mean, so definitely today's climate has fueled me just as much as the past has.
Oh, wow.
Yes,
Wow. So, you know, with the subject matter, how has your play been received by African Americans as well as whites? Because I know sometimes, you know, whites may get uncomfortable and wanting to hear the stories, because sometimes they don't like to hear that kind of history.
Definitely.
Have you gotten any feedback?
Well, yes, I've gotten feedback. Actually, when we had our Chicago run, it was very highly recommended, and most of the top Chicago critics really had amazing things to say. So I was surprised. But I think going into it, I never went into it with the idea of let me be cautious because one might feel this or feel that. It's very, very much unapologetic, and it's very much in its truest state. And if one is comfortable, either white or black, I just always think about how much uncomfort that these people have. So we can just sit in a space and suspend our disbelief for just about an hour and a half and feel that of being uncomfortable. Just think about what our ancestors felt for hundreds of years. So it's been really, really well received, and I mean, we'll see what comes out of this, and if not, then regardless, it's the story that's being told that matters.
So you said you wrote it very quickly, like in a week and a half. So what's your process? Did it just all come to you? You start writing? Did you ever get writer's block?
Of course. I think it's a different process for different plays. Like I said, with this play, like it had a totally different inception when I first started. It had all the characters. It was a huge cast. It had the white characters and the black characters. And then I just went back, and like I said, it started with the cry, a baby's cries, and Mary says, "My baby, pick up my baby. I can't hear my baby." And so it just came from that sound, and it just flowed. And then of course I went back and I did rewrites and such. But I also had the amazing opportunity as a writer that we often don't get, because sometimes we're just often in a space by ourselves writing along. But I knew something was special, and I submitted it for a reading workshop through the Congo Square in Chicago. Just a reading, because I'd never even workshopped it. And I got a call a few months later that instead of just wanting to workshop it, they wanted to fully produce it.
Wow.
So I had the pleasure of being in a room with this amazing team and these amazing actors and Harry, and I basically workshopped it for a week during production.
Wow.
So we workshopped it. I had the actors, I had Harry, so that was in itself was amazing. We were able to create this world and basically put it on stage. So that was the process for a small oak tree, and every play, I think I'm going to have a different process.
Yeah, but this play has gotten a lot of accolades. Tell us about some of the other productions of it, and also some of the award. Didn't it get an award in Chicago?
Oh yes, definitely. This play is very much a baby in terms of how long it's been in existence. But like I said, I've been blessed to have it produced so quickly. But yes, it's been produced at the Congo Square in its 2016-2017 season of her season. And then it also won the Chicago Black Excellence Awards for Best Production and Best Director, Outstanding Director for Harry as well.
Excellent.
And I won the honorable mention for the Jane Chambers Playwriting Award, and it was also done as a reading at Capitol Stages as
that
well
was in
Sacramento.
California, right?
Yeah, in Sacramento.
Yeah. Oh,
yes.
Right.
Yes.
Okay, so how did it end up coming to the prestigious Billie Holiday Theater?
Oh, awesome. See, life is all a journey, right? We take a certain step, thinking it's just for one thing, and then it just opens doors for other things because it's the right moment and the right time. So being that I am an actress, I actually Billy and National Black Theater, these institutions have always been places as an African American artist that I've wanted to be a part of and reach out to, and I've had the pleasure of working with both. So with Billy, I first walked through his doors last year as an actress, and I was in the play Autumn with Pauletta Washington, Walter Dallas, writer, and so directing and so forth. And so I was in the conception as an actress. I had just done a Chicago production, and we had just started winning the awards and stuff when I came into rehearsals. And so I was able to just slip that, having that relationship, slip it over to this amazing executive director, Indira at Thrawell, and she read it. And she was like, let's do it, because we was riding the waves, and it's amazing to have it at the Billy. It's been around since 1972, and it has its roots in revolution, and the Billy has just opened up its new space. So the second play in its new renovated space, and they're also going back to their roots of fostering new voices. So I'm one of the first new voices of playwrights that they're producing, and to have this amazing team run by mostly African American women. And a lot of theaters don't have that. Indira, she's amazing. This smart, intelligent, beautiful Black woman, and they're doing some amazing things right now.
I can't
so
wait to
I'm
see
excited.
It. So tell us a little bit. How did you end up in New York? Because you're originally from where?
Houston, Texas.
So tell us about your journey to New York.
Came to New York, with those big lights and city dreams. No. Well, yes. Grad school.
Okay.
Yeah, as an actress, I went to the New School for Drama.
Oh, okay.
So yes, I have my MFA from there. So that's how I came to be in New York. Yeah.
Okay, good. Well, we're glad to have you.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here.
So you had mentioned that you work with Harry Lennox. He's the director.
Correct.
And for our audience, if you watch The Blacklist on NBC, he has a prominent role there. And my favorite role is Dresser on The Five Heartbeats.
Yes.
Yeah. So how did he become involved with the project?
Harry became involved because his relationship with the Congo Square, because he's from Chicago, and he's on their board, and they reached out to him, to Sam, who was the producer at the time, rest his soul, recently passed away. He reached out to Harry to direct the piece, and he agreed, yay. And so Harry has become an amazing friend and a mentor, and like I stated, we have formed this world together, so it's a blessing to have him to be like, come on board with the Billy. This is also, I believe, his New York directorial debut.
Oh, wow.
As well as my playwriting New York debut. And so that's how Harry came about to be a part of the project.
That's good. So tell us about some of the other actors in the play and how they became involved with that.
Yes, the other actors, I have it right here.
Let's see.
I don't know if you guys can see this. I want to zoom in. I want you to see their faces. We have R.J. Foster and Kira Riley and Yusef Miller. And these three actors are definitely giving themselves over to the world. We're only a week in, and they're already plowing through and opening their tools and instruments up. And they came through the process of through the production team with the Billy through auditions or invites.
Let me see. I have a little information on the actors because I like to give them some big ups too.
Of course.
So Kira Riley. Yeah. She's a student of theater from Yale University. Ooh. Yeah. And she's a resident member of the Flea Theater in New York City, which is another good theater.
Nigel, Big Scup.
Yeah.
That's the Flea.
Let's see, R.J. Foster. And he also has some roles in, some network television, cable television. He's been on Homeland. He's been in Power. He needs to get me the star's phone number, but anyway. He's also been in The Blacklist and also CBS's Person of Interest. So they have
an amazing stage actor as well. I recently saw him at the Classical Theater of Harlem in Three Musketeers.
Oh, yeah. That was awesome, too. And Yusef Miller, he's an actor, and he's also a playwright.
Yes.
So,
And the crazy thing about Yusef, how life is just circulates. We're both, we both went to the same undergrad at Prairie View.
Oh,
so,
wow.
we have that legal, that's family right there. So,
oh, wow.
So awesome.
So all in the family.
Yes, definitely.
So tell us a little bit about your artistic lens. What is your view as a playwright?
I believe my view as a playwright right now, and I'm sure it may evolve and change as I get older and continue on this path. But right now, what's speaking to me, because I've created 2 new plays in Inception since A Small Oak Tree, the idea of I'm creating a trilogy, the idea of the holding space, and how is that manifested in our stories, either physically or mentally. It's the idea stating that we as a country is stuck, and so therefore, especially Black people, that we haven't been able to move on. So we're in these holding spaces, not being able to grow. So right now, I'm curating and creating pieces that both surrounds this. Of course, we have with the Small Oak Tree, they're in a purgatory-esque world. Like this play is not linear in whatsoever means. It is kind of like a nightmare. We call it a Gothic spiritual. It's kind of like a genre that me and Harry have coined. It's very much Waiting for Godot meets Rosewood, I would say, very much. And so a lot of my philosophy right now is dealing with that. And of course, my focus is on the Black narrative, and I'm a Southern woman, and I'm a mother. So all those spirituality things, all that is right now just fostered into my worlds. So right now I'm focusing on the holding space and what that is. I have a new play called The Butterflies in the Mist. Okay. It's my idea of the Peter Pan story of like, what if there was a place that little Black boys can go that could preserve their Black magic? Oh, wow. And so we have this character that comes back, Sula, the Tinkerbell, advanced Charlie, the Pan, who's now old and gray and have dealt with the world because he decided to come back, and they're trying to deal with what was lost. And so right now, that's where I'm at. That's the realm, this mystical, often dark, very much out there. I love it.
I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it.
Definitely.
So you're also an actress, and I know you mentioned you did some things at the Billie Holiday Theater, but tell us a little bit more about the acting roles that you've had, and maybe some of your favorites, or what draws you to a role.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, I am an actress as well. That's where most of my training is in, and I've done mostly the theatrical work. I mentioned that I recently just done Autumn with the Billie Holiday Theater, and I think what mostly attracts me to the role is the story. Something that's just I'm one, I don't like art for art's sake. I believe that we should walk out of the theater leaving with something with our souls a bit better, something that we've learned something about ourselves, or something that we could put into our own lives to become better people. So those are types of roles that are attracting me right now. And right now I'm dabbing a little bit more into doing TV and film. I'm working on a short film right now with a beautiful, beautiful script. Just came from my first day of taping today. So yeah, and I'm also one, I believe that I'm an artist, and that each door opens the door for the other and feeds the other. My lens as a playwright is I write from the lens of an actor. Things are very much visual. I see myself on stage. I'm also able to, because I've been on the other side, I think it opens up my writing world, and writing, I think, opens up acting as well.
Oh, that's great. Yeah, that's great.
Each one feeds the other.
Yeah. So what would be if we were trying to figure out what else is coming from LeKethia, what is going to be your next project? I know you said the short film. Like I said, I'm writing. I just written 2 new plays that I'm going into, trying to workshop and continue to develop, and I want to start venturing into writing for TV and film as well. I have a few ideas and few projects I can't say right now that I'm working on, and so yeah, I believe that why not? The world is open. Yeah. So you mentioned you're a mother. Yes. How old is your daughter? Right. Yes, she just turned 10 years old, January the 8th. Her name is Naila Factor. Hi, Naila. Hi, Naila, baby. Yeah, she's very much a theater baby. She's been on stage ever since she's been in my belly. Her father is an actor as well. Oh, wow. And yeah, she's backstage right now. Yeah. She knows. So let me ask you this. Has she seen your play? Or she didn't see it in Chicago. No, she didn't see it in Chicago, so this would be the first time that she sees it in New York. But she's seen it like rehearsals and other forms, but not, I think, full-out production. Does she give you feedback about your plays? Yeah.
No, she'll give. No, not really.
Or any of your acting?
Yeah, she does definitely, because a lot of times she's backstage or off in the rehearsal room. But yeah, if I ask, she'll definitely give feedback. If I ask, yes, definitely.
In other words, mommy does great no matter what.
Well, we'll try.
So A Small Oak Tree Runs Red.
Yes.
If someone wanted to see it, tell us the dates that it's going to be showing at the Billie Holiday Theater, and how could one get tickets?
Yes. Hi. So A Small Oak Tree Runs Red. Previews start February 2nd, and we officially open on February 8th. And it runs all the way to March 4th. If you would like to get tickets, just go to www.billieholiday.org, and you'll be able to find tickets to the show. And I would love to have you guys there.
Oh, good. So also, if somebody wanted to find out about LeKethia's projects, you know, how could they follow you?
Sure.
How could they get in contact with you on social media? You have a website?
Oh, definitely. I have a website. It's easy. www.LeKethia, LeKethia Dalcoe, DALCOE.com. My first and last.
Oh, okay.
Awesome.
Okay, cool. Well, everyone, that's our time for today. We were going to put on the screen the information that LeKethia just gave you about the Billie Holiday Theater and A Small Oak Tree Runs Red, so that you can go out and support this fantastic play.
Thank you.
So until next week, consider yourself Blacklit. Thank you.